Hold on, stop. Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World with yours truly, Johnny and Mike. No millennials.
Millennial free.
No millennial free.
And the support dog is MIA.
MIA. The support dog's only here to support Lexi. Not me.
Yeah. He's here to shake, and I think that's the one that needs the support.
Yeah. You're the shaky dog.
So we got a cool topic today.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about what happened this week at work.
Okay. All right. The fucking 2 foot of snow.
Yeah, 2 foot of snow.
Endless plowing. Oh, fucking sucked.
3 days of straight work.
Actually, it wasn't too bad. They went pretty quick.
I didn't sleep like from Sunday morning at 4 a.m.
Yeah, you got the early shift. I'm glad I didn't come in early.
Through Tuesday at. Well, I didn't go to bed till 8 o'clock that night on Tuesday. I didn't sleep.
I luckily slept in that chair and slept like a fucking baby.
I don't know how you could sleep like that, bro.
I don't know.
I can't.
I did. I guess I was just so tired.
I can't do it.
And
I mean, I dozed off for an hour here or an hour there, but I couldn't. I could get no.
I think I might have woken up like once or twice when somebody came in, but for the most part. And then somebody was making fun of me. Like, yo, you fucking changed the channel. You put it on something else. And you were asleep within like 2 minutes. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I remember the whole entire episode. I'm like, you're not. It was the episode of that Forensic Files where the dude freaking bludgeons his wife to death and then chopped her up with a chainsaw and ran her through the chipper. And the only reason he got caught was because it was snowing and there was a guy plowing on the road at 3 o'clock in the morning. And he drives by this dude and he's sitting on the bridge with his chipper shooting his dead wife into the frickin' river. And the plow guy's like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
Oh, I better call the cops.
I wonder if that's normal.
And that's how he got caught. Fucking asshole. So I just thought that was funny because it was snowing at the same time. Yeah.
And then I guess tomorrow we're going to go start that all over again.
Yeah.
Snow supposed to be coming tomorrow.
I should have looked at the radar because most of the time they tell us it's going to snow here and they blow it out of proportion and it doesn't do shit.
Yeah, well, I remember one time they were 18 to 2 feet, and it's
adjusting to 2 feet.
It's going to be horrible, and it didn't snow at all.
We end up getting overtime for nothing.
Yeah,
which is nice. I'm going to bitch about it, but
that happened a week ago too.
Yeah,
we were supposed to get last Sunday into Monday.
Oh, that one I didn't come in.
I did
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got some movies in.
Yeah. Well, I guess tomorrow.
But tomorrow, I was supposed to come in tomorrow night because the storm was supposed to come tomorrow night into Monday.
Man, somebody dismantled all the stuff off the back of the dump truck.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't working right. They got to get a new piece.
Again?
Yes.
Oh, that thing is such a piece of crap. If we have anything that works nice. Oh, so then when we were all done, I don't think I told you about this, right? And I go home and I'm like, all right, I got to shovel out the fucking driveway and shit, and or the walkway and trash cans and stuff. So I go home, let the dogs out. I get the world's worst fucking shovel. The handle is broken off of it, and it's got sharp edges on it, so you can't use it for like leverage. And the metal, luckily it was metal, but it was fucking bent to. It was just all bent up, and like you couldn't like get it close to the ground. So there was like a 2-inch layer of fucking compacted ice that I had to like chisel up. I was like beating it with the side of the shovel. And it just, I was like, man, this sucks. I just want to go to bed. And right about that time, I looked down the road. And actually, when I pulled up, before I even started, I'm driving down the road, and there's this car parked in the middle of the street, and there's these 2 guys shoveling on their space. So the guy gets in his car, he moves. I park where I need to. And when I come back out with the shovel, these 2 guys are yelling at, like, there's a whole family of people down, probably like 3 houses down further, 3-4 houses down. And he's yelling at them. I guess they were snowblowing snow onto his car that was parked down there. He's like, yeah, motherfuckers, He's like, stop, you better clean that fucking snow up, I'm telling you. And the guy's like, yeah, okay, whatever, pal. And I hear him like grumbling. He's like, I'll fucking run down there, I'll fucking shovel that snow right into their fucking driveway, I don't give a shit. And his son's like, yeah, Dad, calm down, don't worry about it. It's just snow. And you see him stop again. He's like, motherfucker, I told you, fucking stop and run. Right? And I'm like,
you got your camera out.
Oh yeah. It started getting louder. I'm like, right? And I got it all on video. I'll play it for you then. And I zoom in, and dude just charges these guys with his fucking shovel, right? Runs down there. four like big guys, younger big guys, just in a line, just come walking up like, are you coming in my territory? And they fucked this dude up.
Jesus, people are fucking... Did you see the video that the guy who shot the two people?
I didn't see the video. I heard about it.
They showed me the video today. It's ridiculous.
Over snow. Yeah. People are fucking nuts.
They're arguing over the snow because I don't know if they were throwing the snow over on their property or what. But the guy is out. The guy and the lady are out in the street antagonizing this guy to all hell.
Yeah.
You fucking pussy, blah, 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 you fucking pussy. You ain't gonna do shit. And he comes out with a gun. Pap, pap, pap,
and he
pap,
does
pap.
shit.
He shot like 5 times and missed him. and then hit the dude. The dude falls, walks up to the lady, pops her. She's laying on the ground bleeding. He turns around, goes into the house. 2 kids come over. Oh my God, I'll go get my phone. I'll call for help. He comes back out with a rifle.
Oh, Christ.
Walks over, coup de grace her. Pap, pap. Pap, pap. And the last thing he says, call me a pussy now.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
where was that?
Up in Wilkes-Barre.
No shit.
Oh my God. I'm like, these people are crazy.
Damn.
Over snow. Like, I get mad, but I ain't shooting people mad over snow.
Yeah, you'd think he'd go in and like calm down, not get his rifle, and they come out double tap him.
What I would do is I would just pile snow on top of their car.
Wow. Nope, some people are fucking crazy.
Oh my. I remember when we lived in Haven, I shoveled out a spot, and I never shoveled a spot for myself because I had a Jeep. I just drive over the snow. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But Deb had a Cherokee, but she didn't like driving over the snow, so I would shovel her, and it would be clean. Down, like I would chop ice away.
Somebody else would park in it.
And this jerk from across the street lived in the apartment, would come and park in the spot. Well, one day he came and did it, and I had spent all day cleaning out the spot. Well, I spent all night covering it. Every piece of snow I took off the spot, I put on top of his car, around his car. Then I took my hose off my porch and I was spraying it. And he came out the next morning. Oh, we'll be late for work. Don't park in my spot, bitch. But I ain't shooting nobody over snow.
Yeah, man, people are nuts. This doesn't have to do with snow, but there's a video I came across on. I think the donut operator maybe covered it. Or anyways, so there's these 2 fucking inbred hillbillies. One's the dad, one's the younger kid. I think
one's the dad, the kid brother.
The kid brother, and they think they got like 4 teeth between the both of them. And they're in a back alleyway, and they're arguing with this guy. I think it might have been over a parking spot or something. And both these dudes have a fucking shotguns. The dad and the son. And the dad's like holding the shotgun. He's like, back up, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. And he kept saying, I'm gonna kill you. And the neighbor's like irate. He's just screaming at him. He's like, fuck it, fuck it, I don't give a fuck, shoot me, I don't give a fuck. Well, he answered his fucking prayers because they both fucking laid him out. Right then, like he got too close and they both just fucking gunned him down. And, you know, the dude's wife was sitting there. She's screaming, oh my God, you killed him and this and that. And I told you I was going to kill you. I think they both got life sentences.
Well, this guy who did it up in Wilkes-Barre went in the house and shot himself then. Saved the taxpayers a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody, that's insensitive, and I don't fucking care.
I guess he didn't like the snow. He didn't want to shovel no more. But, yeah, so
we had a long week.
This guy got fucked up. At one point, he, like, grabbed his shovel and he was going to swing out the shovel at him. And then I guess he thought better of the idea and then threw the shovel down. And then the guy came down the street and I was like, yo, I'm like, you all right, buddy? And he's like, fuck this goddamn neighborhood. He's like, they're fucking inbred retards down the street. And I just started laughing. And he's like, I'm calling the cops. And the 2 squad cars showed up and they get out and nothing exciting happened. And I was hoping somebody would get tased or something, but It was the other guy. He charged them, so they were. I guess they were just defending themselves. But yeah, it's always something, man. I'm good at that. I caught a fight down at the beach. What was it? 2 years ago. I pulled into the beer store, and I think my sister ran in to go get beer because we were coming back to PA. And I'm just chilling out there in my car, and I got my daughter and my niece in the back seat, and I just hear this fucking argument. And I'm like, I told my daughter, I'm like, grab my camera, start recording this. And she did, and these guys were like, it was so funny the shit they were saying. He's like, the guy's like, you're too old and you're too fucking slow. He's like, get the fuck out of my goddamn parking spot, you old man. I think had it gone on longer, somebody would have gotten shot. The dude ended up, he followed him home. And I'm like, that can't be good. And it's just,
that is going to end poorly.
Yeah. I mean, I would never do that. I probably wouldn't even stand there and fight with him. I'd probably just walk away, get my car, and leave. It's not worth it.
So what do you got for us this week, bro?
I decided my topic. I wanted to talk about this little something to do with the Bermuda Triangle, an anomaly. It was called Flight 19.
So I said to you earlier in the week, dude, we've worked like 7 shifts in 2 days. Let's not pick anything we got to research too much. What are you doing this week? Flight 19. I'm like, dude, that's the Bermuda Triangle. We're gonna
no.
We're gonna be off on tangents.
Anomaly in the Bermuda Triangle. Like, my other topic, I don't know. I didn't want to really. I thought it was boring.
What? This?
No, the topic that I came up before this one.
What was that?
You don't even remember.
So it was exciting. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Well, we've done like 4 since then.
No.
3.
1.
Oh, we'll get that. What did we do last week? Oh, I thought that was cool.
No, not that one. The one that
Jack
I was.
Hinton?
No, the one that I was going to do this week.
Oh.
I changed it to this flight.
Well,
19.
you change your shit every 20 minutes.
Well,
anyway.
I changed it because I thought we were going to have way too much, and then it turns out we didn't.
Well, we decided we're going to isolate it. We're not going to expand into the Bermuda Triangle itself, just to.
You can make you can make like 3 episodes on the Bermuda Triangle.
When I researched this, I found out that this incident in 1945 is what really kicked off.
This is what started it all.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
Now, stuff had happened long before that, but it wasn't until 1956 that they coined the phrase Bermuda Triangle.
It's also called the Devil's Triangle.
Devil's Triangle. That's also
the Devil's Taint.
That's also like a three-way, isn't it?
Yes. It's a
Isn't that what they were accusing the one Chief Justice?
Yeah. Was it Brett Kavanaugh?
Yeah, Kavanaugh.
Yeah. I don't know what a Devil's Triangle is. Never heard of it. You have Bobby. I used to play basketball with Bobby.
Bobby, you know what a Devil's Triangle is?
Anyways, so, well, here we go. I'll just start it off. I'll give a brief synopsis of what happened, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, go ahead.
So, and if you feel like you got to add anything, I see your notes are a little better than mine. That you can. I at least can't read my own handwriting. All right, so
go ahead. There were some things that really, like, the little details are what bothered me.
Yeah.
So we'll get into it, but that's why my notes are the way they are.
I'm just retarded, so this is like Flight 19 for dummies.
And then we'll see, I focused on another part of Flight 19 that I don't think you focused on, and usually doesn't get focused on at all, but to me it's just as important.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious to see what this was, because you said you were going to take it in a whole different way.
Yeah. So go ahead.
He was giving him a blowy. So it was the December 5th, 1945. You have 5 Avenger bomber torpedo bombers on a training exercise to do a mock bombing run. And the exercise was called, what was it called, Mike? Where is it?
It's down farther. It's navigation problem number 1.
Navigation problem number 1, which that's weird to begin with.
Yeah, and this was one of my questions, since you already went there. Like, all this stuff happened on something that was called navigation problem number 1. And it made me, when I initially heard it, now after I researched farther, I realized that the actual course that they flew, that's what it was called.
Right.
And they weren't the only ones that did it.
No, they said it was a very routine exercise that a lot of people were involved with.
But when I saw navigation problem number 1, I'm like, did they freaking submarine these guys on purpose? Like, can you overcome this, this, and this in a flight? You know,
you never know, man.
We're going to turn off both of your.
Never know.
There's something on the plane called a slip and something has to do with turning the plane, and it malfunctioned.
I don't know.
And their compasses, both the compasses in the lead plane were malfunctioned.
Right. So there's a mock bombing run called Navigational Problem Number 1, and it was to teach them, obviously, how to do a bombing run and use what they call dead reckoning navigation, which they claim at the time still wasn't like an exact science, but from what I understand, it was sort of like using the sun and a watch to calculate the future time that, like, where am I going to be in a half an hour from now? And so they were working on that. Now, their flight was led by an experienced pilot, Charles Taylor, who was 28 years old. He served 2 tours in World War II in the Pacific Theater. He had 2,500 plus hours, I guess, in this bombing torpedo bomber.
2,500, yeah.
And
that's between this flying and his 2 tours in.
And then he came back
the Pacific
to
Theater.
Miami to be a training instructor, which is what he was doing here, I guess. So it was 4 Avenger bomber planes carrying a crew of 3 and 1 with just 2 on board. So you have 14 guys total. And I think they said 4 of them, including Charles Taylor, were experienced pilots. And the other ones were pretty much like not rookies, but had about 300 hours in the plane.
The rest of them, besides him, all the other rest, the average flying time they had in that plane was 300 hours.
Yeah, so they were.
So some were with more, some were with less.
Yeah, so they weren't necessarily like new, but kind of. Yeah, they kind of were. Now this is where I had conflicting reports. It says their route was from Fort Lauderdale, and the one said that they had a 4-point turn. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, okay.
Instead of a 3-point turn.
If you watch some of the things, they show a straight out shot.
Yeah.
Drop the bombs, go so much farther, and then turn north.
Yeah.
But if you look at their actual flight path, it is slightly southeast, slightly northeast, and then northwest.
So their route was going to be from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to Bimini, and I guess like right before Bimini is the fuck is that?
The hen and chickens.
The hens and chickens shoal.
Yeah.
And that's where they were supposed to drop their bombs.
Now, if you go online and you search hens and chickens on Google Maps, it takes you down to the Florida Keys. But that's the hens and chicken reef.
Maybe it's not there anymore.
It might not be because I searched hens and chicken shoal, and it did not come up. The only thing that came up was that reef, and that was all the way down there in the Keys.
Yeah, they have this is about 30 miles west of Bimini. They said that Bimini was, I think, 63 nautical miles from Miami.
It's only like a 2-hour boat ride from Miami.
Yeah. So now in the Bermuda Triangle stretches from Miami to Puerto Rico
to Bermuda,
up to the Bahamas and back. So it's
Bermuda, not Bahamas.
I'm sorry, Bermuda. So from Miami to Puerto Rico to Bermuda, and it's nearly 500,000 square miles of open water.
Yep. That's
insane. 500,000.
Yes.
I can't. Does it say how deep it is around in that area?
Okay, the spot where they think. I was watching another thing. Spot where they. Hold on. Okay. The second part of this, the part that I'm going to talk about, where that ship saw a fireball in the sky.
Yeah.
It's 78 feet deep there.
Right.
Because the commander of the Navy vessel who then went there was questioned as to why didn't you dive?
Okay.
Why didn't you dive to see if there's any wreckage down there?
Yeah.
And he kind of brushed it off. But they said it was weird that it was only 78 feet deep, which is well within a normal diver's range.
Yeah.
And they didn't dive down to see if there was anything there.
All right. We'll get back to that one.
Okay.
So I want to touch on that too. I won't touch that a little bit.
I honestly don't know how deep this area is, to
Yeah.
answer your question.
Now, I know I've seen like some shows where they have people going out to find a wreck, and the water's like waist deep. And I don't know, that's like coming up, and then you have like little islands out there. There's probably a bazillion little islands out there.
Well, there all those shoals, what are they called? Cays and
Yeah.
what are the other ones called? Archipelagos.
Aquapelagos. Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Learned something new today.
I may have pronounced it wrong, but it is a word.
So their route was Fort Lauderdale to Bimini, to Great Harbor Cay, to the island of Grand Bahamas, and back to Fort Lauderdale. It's basically a big triangle.
Right.
And they said the weather was pretty fair that morning. They said it was sunny. You know, granted it was December, but they said it was pretty much perfect flying weather.
Wait, but why was the flight delayed twice?
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I know once the Lieutenant Charles Taylor, who was the leader of this flight, Flight 19, he was 25 minutes late to the briefing before they left.
Yes.
And he said that he did not want to take this one out.
Right.
So,
and the speculation I got on that was
he got drunk the night before.
He got drunk the night before, and he just wasn't feeling well and didn't want to go. And I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
I don't want to besmirch the dude's name because it's all speculation.
Yeah.
There's no proof of that.
And he was known to have gotten lost before.
Yeah, he has gotten lost before. This isn't the first time he got lost.
Yeah. But I would imagine to be a pretty fucking experienced pilot, you would want that experience to get lost and know how to navigate your way back.
Right. Well, I'll let you go. We'll hit on some other stuff. Remind me about getting back later because there's some things that happen that just didn't make sense.
Okay. So they completed their torpedo. They dropped all their torpedoes. I guess they were fake torpedoes, dummies. And they have them reported en route to their second mark at Great Harbor Cay and their third mark at Island of Grand Bahamas. But they never made the final leg of their trip back to Fort Lauderdale. And they lost radio contact at, I have 7:08 p.m., but I think it was 7:30. And they were never heard from or seen again.
No, that's not.
No, yes. After the last radio contact. So what I'll get into okay. Yeah. So after no more radio contact was heard from them.
Okay, you're right.
Either one way or the other, they were never heard or seen again. And so I guess meanwhile back at Fort Lauderdale, another torpedo squadron was airborne and heading on the same mission, doing the same thing.
But they were on their way back.
See, now this one says they were on their way out.
No, they were on their way back. They had completed them. It was an earlier mission. It had gone out. They had dropped their bombs. They were on the final leg towards Fort Lauderdale.
So,
because later on, we'll talk about when their last transmission was, they were losing radio contact with each other because they were flying in opposite directions. Right.
So, their this second flight of torpedo bombers, their commander was Lieutenant Robert Cox, and he picked up a distress call from Flight 19. Some say they don't know who it was. Some give a name. I'm just gonna not give a name because I didn't write it down. And it was an airman asking for a position check, and Cox asked what the problem was, and a pilot identified as Lieutenant Taylor states, quote, "Both my compasses are out, and I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm over land, but it is broken. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down, and I don't know how to get back to Fort Lauderdale." And I guess Lieutenant Cox radioed back to Fort Lauderdale, and there was some other bases around hearing these transmissions and trying to give them advice. And then Lieutenant Cox advised Taylor to put the sun on his port wing and fly up the coast of Florida. So basically that was their way. If they ever got lost, you would just turn your plane towards the sun and fly into the sun. You know you're going west.
Right.
And west means land. So I guess Taylor couldn't find the sun, and at this time the weather starts deteriorating.
Yeah, rainstorms had come in the area.
he insisted on turning northeast to avoid flying over the Gulf Coast. Now I got confused with all this because this dude he changed positions like 4 or 5 times,
Right.
and he wouldn't listen to anybody.
No.
And I wish I had a map because I'm like, what the Gulf of Mexico? I'm like, that doesn't sound.
Well, that's what I was saying. I wanted to kind of I wanted to take a picture and try to lay out the course.
Yeah.
Because one person who did one of the videos that I watched, it made perfect sense what he was doing if they were where he thought they were.
Yeah. Now, some speculate that he couldn't have been in the Florida Keys.
He couldn't be. There's no way
because the flight time he was
right.
Hour previous to that he left Miami. He couldn't make it to the Florida Keys in an hour.
Here's the thing that I saw when he was supposed to make a 290-degree turn northeast, northwest, and instead of making 290, he did half of that. So 290 would have taken him over Grand Bahama Island. But if you do half of that, you go over one of the smaller Bahama Islands. And when you fly over those islands, there's a bunch of little islands that trail off, like the Keys.
Yeah.
And they feel that that's where he actually was when he thought he was in the Keys.
Right, yeah. And they said he wouldn't have known the difference because it all looks the same.
Right. So if he felt he was in the Keys, he turned west for so many minutes, and then he turned northeast for so many minutes.
Right.
Well, that would have taken him to the Florida coast if he had done that. But if you show that with him being over the smaller Bahama Islands, it just takes him out farther to sea.
Yeah. I mean, they said they pinned him at his third destination, which he would have just had to turn back west and go back towards Florida.
Yeah.
And somewhere, either they were wrong and he wasn't where they thought he was.
But he turned west for so long, and they had gone for such a long period of time. He was like, "No, I think I'm over the Gulf now."
Yeah.
And that's when he turned.
So he's all over the fucking place.
Right.
And none of the navigators could tell where they were, and there was reports of them saying like nothing looked like it normally did. It looked unusual. It looked like, what the fuck was that word they used? Like it looked like the snow on your television almost. Like there was like a weird like just not something really abnormal.
Right.
And so in this time of him changing his flight course like 3 or 4 times, like going west and second guessing himself, then going northeast, then going more east, and his radio starts to cut out.
Well, the radio starts to cut out with transmissions back to either the base or the 2 search flights that were out searching for him. Because
see, now I have it as they weren't searching for him yet. They weren't at this point. They're not searching for him.
They started searching for him.
It says they only started searching for him when they completely lost contact with him.
Hang on. At 7:27, actually 10 minutes before 7:27, a flight took off from. It wasn't Banana River. It was another Air Naval Station. It took off and started searching, and then these 2 flights were ready to go out on a training flight, and they took off, looking to, and they changed their mind. They're not going on a training flight. They're going to go and look for him at his last radio fix, which was 5:50 p.m.
Okay. So, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay,
like
3:45 is when he made the radio transmission. Cannot see land. We seem off course. What's your position? The tower responded. That's at 3:45. They lost contact for about 10 minutes, and it resumed. You hear the flight leader, "We can't find west. Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction because both compasses in the plane weren't working."
Yeah, and
everything looks strange, even the ocean.
Just for your info, those compasses were a magnetic compass and a gyro compass.
Yes, those 2 separate kind of compasses.
I don't know what they do, but
let's see.
Where the hell?
So after 20 minutes go by, then.
Yeah, see, you got way more detail than I do. I didn't even know about half the shit you're talking about. And
we can't tell where we are. Everything is can't make out anything. We think we may be about 225 miles northeast of base. and then there was incoherent. It looks like we're entering white water. We're completely lost. So just after that is when the PBM Mariner flying boats carrying rescue equipment got ready to leave to search, which is what I want to talk about. But if you go back, the planes were Grumman TBF Avengers. Well, there's also a Grumman TBM Avenger. And I'm like, well, what the hell's the difference between the two? So after a lot of searching, I found this. This post was someplace on an airplane forum. The TB stands for torpedo bomber.
Mm-hmm.
The last letter stands for the manufacturer of the plane. So now it's a Grumman designed plane, but Grumman built it for so long, and then General Motors, General Motors, the Eastern Aircraft Division built it. So the M at the end would mean it was a General Motors plane. The F at the end means it was built by Grumman. But what happened was they were the Grumman factory was gearing up to build a different plane, and stop production of this plane, transfer production of the plane to General Motors, and they continued to build them for a couple of years. So if you take that and the PBM Mariner flying boat, so PB would be patrol bomber. It's a flying boat, so it can land on water, and that M stands for Martin Company. Goes Martin. I know. I just found that very interesting because I was trying to find out, as much as I could about the planes.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw I have a good picture of one flying to throw up for the people to see.
Well, now I'm lost because your notes are way different than mine.
But no, you're down, right?
I don't even know where
you
I
were
was.
right here,
Hold on.
where they lost contact for 10 minutes. We can't find east. Everything's wrong.
Yeah, she says his frequency on his radio started faulting, and they asked him repeatedly to change to a different frequency, which I guess was the search and rescue frequency.
Right.
And he insisted on staying on his current frequency and says, I don't want to lose my, I forget what the word he used, but I don't want to lose my crew. Whatever the hell that means. But he wouldn't change the frequency.
No, that's one of the things that I don't understand. Why would he do that?
So the weather begins to deteriorate. Now, they just say deteriorate. I don't know what that means. Like, I guess they rolled up into the best explanation I got was it got really cloudy. And
it got cloudy and it started getting dark.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was because it's getting late now. And I guess in between this, they could hear their the flight crew like arguing with each other.
Well, one of the flight crew kept on saying, "Dude, just turn west."
Yeah, turn west, damn it! If we just turn west, we'd be home.
Right.
And I guess after saying that, he decided to turn west in order to reach what he assumed was Florida. And they advised him that he did not have enough fuel to make it, basically. 5 minutes later, Taylor made his last communication. And he says, we'll continue to fly 270 degrees west until we hit landfall or run out of gas. And Fort Lauderdale could no longer communicate with the flight, but they could pick up their conversations. And at 6:20, they heard Taylor's last orders to his men. And he says,
this is scary.
He says, quote, we'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the last plane drops below 10 gallons, we will all go down together. And that was at 6:20. At 7 o'clock, you see, this is where my notes were different. At 7 o'clock, 2 PBM Mariner aircraft planes were diverted off of their own training mission and sent out to look for Flight 19.
Technically, they were.
They split up to cover more ground, and about a half an hour later, one Mariner requested a radio check, then almost immediately fell silent. And that was it.
Well, I'll talk about the PBM Mariner.
Now, they touch on the part where the boat was out there, and they said that basically it blew up in mid-flight.
But let me. You can't talk about Flight 19, like, and I see all these websites and they talk about Flight 19, and this Training 32 and Training 39 the flights, are like cliff notes. Well, 13 men died.
Yeah, on that PB Mariner.
On the training 49 PBM Mariner flying boat.
That was the one of the aircraft that was sent out to look for Flight 19.
Right. So there was actually 3 of them. There was a single one that had taken off before these 2. These 2 were getting ready for a training flight, and all this started happening, and they scrapped the training flight, and they said, we're going to go searching. So they went up and they searched it, and they split. They were supposed to do 30-minute check-in. So about 25 minutes into the flight, the first was the PBM 39.
I didn't go into that much detail.
I did 32. PBM 32 and 49. They departed Banana River Naval Air Station at 7:27. Training 32 headed straight to the Atlantic, while Training 49 went along the coast, then cut out to sea, to home in on Flight 19's 5:50 p.m. radio fix. So I guess they could get a fix on them from their radio?
Yeah, because they were able to figure out that they made it to the 3rd leg of the operation.
Okay.
Of the mission.
So Training 32 checked in on time. Training 49 missed their check-in. They were never heard from again. They were never seen. Well, they were seen, but it wasn't good. So the check-in time would have been somewhere around 8 o'clock. At 9:12, a teletype came into the Miami Air Rescue Headquarters from Freightliner SS Gaines Mills that at 7:50 they observed a huge fireball explosion. And what they had said was that it burned for several minutes. A fireball explosion or collision. The SS Gaines immediately went to the area of the explosion and searched the area. Reportedly found debris and oil floating on the ocean.
Oil slick.
But they took samples of that oil. They took samples of the water and oil. And later on it was tested and found not to be oil at all.
What the fuck was it?
They never said what it was, but that comes later in the investigation.
Now, you wanted to touch on why they wouldn't go down, and remember you said earlier their question is, why didn't you send a diver down? Well, it's like fucking 9 o'clock at night.
Well, that doesn't happen yet.
And
the
weather was getting bad, as I understand.
The next morning, a Navy ship came out, and that's the guy that they questioned. So, Sea Rescue thought an explosion might have been a result of a mid-air collision with Flight 19. Training 32 was diverted to the area of the explosion, and at 10:45 when they got there, they found no debris, no signs of a crash, no weather, or anything that would have caused an explosion. So, there's something about these planes. These PBM Mariners were known as flying gas tanks. They were known to have gas leaks.
And blow up.
And explode. So the Navy was able to say that the explosion was indeed Training 49. They said it's unknown what had happened to the pieces, or why it blew to pieces. This was confirmed by the carrier, USS Solomon, that reported they had been tracking Trainer 49's radar blip from takeoff at Banana River, and then to about the area where the SS Gaines reported seeing a fireball. So this fact was not. This commander, this lieutenant commander, is William T. Shatner. William Murphy.
William Shatner mouth, and she liked it.
He didn't mention this for a couple days afterwards. He didn't. I didn't recall it. The lieutenant commander was also very negative about sending divers down to the wreck area, even though the exact coordinates were known and the water was only 7 to 8 feet deep there. No trace has ever been found of the wreckage or crew. Well, now, if they knew the exact coordinates, then they're in somebody's report someplace. And I will put on the screen the actual reports from these 2 crashes, or these 2 disappearances. I have a copy of the Navy report in my files. So there was little doubt of the fate of the U.S. Navy Squadron Training Number 49, PBM-5 Mariner flying boat. The mystery was what had caused it. See, I can tell you from experience that these flight crews, like, we did a lot of stupid shit in the Navy, but these flight crews did not fuck around when it came to doing all the checkouts on the planes. Everything that needed to be checked was checked. and you checked it twice. You didn't dick around. Like, people just didn't dick around with that stuff. Like, all the stupid stuff we did was off duty. We acted dumb off duty. So, and the flight crews were diligent about doing their checks because that's your life.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
There was also a machinist mate that was assigned to this. Now, he would have been in charge of fixing anything that went wrong while they were midair. So, like,
you got to fix a fireball.
Yeah. We get one of the X-Men to put it in the ball and drop it in the ocean. So the easiest thing to say it was caused by a fuel leak because these planes were known for the leaks. But the initial report from the USS Gaines was that they saw a 100-foot fireball for several minutes. But they didn't say off of what side of the ship they saw the fireball. They just said overhead. So it's weird. So now you have 6 aircraft that vanished.
That's 27 guys.
27 guys missing in action.
All on the same day.
All on the same
in
day.
the same area.
Yeah. Now, 5 days, the Coast Guard, Navy, everybody who was available was out searching. Yeah. 25,000 square miles of
hundreds of aircraft.
Yeah.
Boats, you name it.
They never found one of the pilots or one of the aviators. They never found any wreckage. Not a life raft, not an oil slick, nothing.
Nada. Not a fucking sock.
The Navy launched an investigation into the incident, and nothing conclusive was ever found.
Yep, and they said that they analyzed, well, obviously they would, back in my superb notes, that the Naval After Action Report, every sentence and word was analyzed repeatedly, just to make sure they didn't miss anything. And they still came up with nothing. They don't know. So this motherfucker must have been way the hell off course.
Well, like I said, if they follow the flight path the way I said, instead of doing the 290 degree, they did half of that. They were out over those islands that looked like the Keys, and then he turned west, and then he thought, well, I missed the bottom of Florida. Now I'm going to turn northeast. If you plot that on a map,
you'll look it.
Yeah, look it there. If you plot it on a map and you show where they think they ended up and where he thought he was, if he had done that exact thing where he thought he was, he would have hit the Florida coast. But instead he wasn't over the Keys. He was over the Bahamas. And he ended up putting himself farther out to sea.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened. Now, of course, I always ask stupid questions. I wanted to know something about the planes. So
they said that they were not very good at landing on water.
They weren't like the flying boat?
No, like, I guess some planes you could successfully, like, skid onto the water. But they said with these type of planes, it just basically would have just been a really fast and hard plunge, like hitting concrete, which would have torn the boat to shreds.
So,
or the aircraft to shreds.
Did you know, fun fact, the TBM Avengers, you knew this?
Yes.
Did you?
All right, go ahead.
Did you know it?
I'm just busting your balls.
You're a dick. Were responsible or giving partial credit for sinking both Yamata-class battleships, super battleship Yamata and Musashi.
I did hear that, yes.
In the Imperial Navy in World War II.
Yes, I did hear that.
They were both credited with, both of those sinkings were partially credited to the TBM Avenger.
Yay, and go America.
Grumman held a ceremony to open up the new manufacturing plant and to display the TBF Avenger to the public on the afternoon of December 7th, 1941. It wasn't until the ceremony was over that they found out the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor.
Bastards.
And then I found that the TBF Avengers were all missing or without clocks.
Yeah, some people say that this is kind of the time that it was kind of normal.
But there was a place in the plane for a clock.
Right.
And if you're doing...
Just something to be noted.
Well, like you said, if they're doing that kind of navigation, you need a timepiece of some sort.
Well, that's why they said that
you would expect the pilot to have a watch.
Well, I think they said that this Lieutenant Taylor did not have a watch. He's God damn it! I left it on the nightstand. Knew I should have been drinking last night. Fuck it. I'll be all right.
Both the compasses on Lieutenant Charles Taylor's plane were malfunctioning.
The Hero compass, the gyro. Love me a gyro.
And
the magnetic compass.
Whatever the other thing was called, the slip and something.
The slip and slide.
No, it's okay. So there was a guy who was a radio.
The slip and slide just played.
There was a guy who was a radio man on one of the ships that was in the search party, who was overhearing the transmissions. He has his pilot's license. He took an Avenger on the same path that these planes were supposed to take.
Mm-hmm.
Same airspeed, everything. You can watch this on YouTube. He takes his plane up, and at 2 points in the flight,
his compass starts going wacky.
It wasn't his compass. It was this thing that has to do with turning the plane. This slipping something. I don't know what the fuck it's called. But it malfunctioned at 2 spots. And then his chase plane, which was not the Grumman TBF, it was just a chase plane that was filming them flying. Theirs did the same thing at one of the spots. So now let me ask you, do you think it's spooky Bermuda Triangle shit, or do you think it's pilot error?
No, I firmly believe that, hell yeah, there's fucking weird shit that goes on there. But why wouldn't there? I mean, it's a mysterious place, and there's a big magnetic field that goes around the Earth, and I'm sure at some spots it's like like higher than others, or or there's just the right arrangement of what have you, and it will fuck with your compass or just.
Now we discussed this just a little bit, that there are more spots around the world that are like the Bermuda Triangle, that mysterious shit happens in this area.
Like my taint.
Your taint is one of them. Some mysterious shit has happened on your taint.
Now, I'll have you know that there's lots and lots of ships that make successful treks through the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, actually, it's one of the most traveled corridors in the world.
Yeah. But there's a lot of weird shit that happens out there.
Right. What I'm saying is, if these other spots have some kind of magnetic anomaly in them.
Well, they said even Columbus reported strange lights in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
So, what the fuck was that all about? There should be nothing flying around out there in his time.
Well, you never know.
So,
maybe what he's seeing is these planes trying to get their way back.
Yeah. Now, they said where they had no clocks, they had to have had watches because they were doing, I'm surprised this isn't in your notes, the Dead Reckoning navigation.
That's what I said. The type of navigation you're talking about, someone would have had to have a
time. It was using something with the triangulation of the plane.
It's you time your airspeed.
Yeah, but I don't know.
To your direction, to the wind velocity.
Yeah. And slide down your slip and slide. And
you do math. And so let's talk about what they found in 1989.
To that dude that uncovered 5 Avenger planes?
1.
But he, I guess, got the serial number. And it was from a flight that went missing 2 years prior to this.
I didn't hear any of that.
But
they found 1 in the Everglades? They didn't get any of the serial numbers off it.
No, there's one guy that found 5 Avenger planes. And he got the serial numbers off of one of them, but they claim it was from a flight that went missing 2 years prior to this one. And he claims that no, this is flight 19. But there's nobody there's nothing that says it's been found.
Well, the funny thing is they don't know exactly where it was and they can't find it again.
Dude, that's gotta suck.
But it's the Everglades. The Everglades.
Yeah. How the fuck would you not pin that while you're out there? Well, you fucking moron. Unless he's lying.
89, they had GPS.
Yeah.
Handheld GPS.
Yeah. Unless he's fucking lying. I mean, even if you didn't have GPS, I'm sure you can get in like the vicinity of where you last were.
So I'm all about honoring our military. I'm gonna read off the names of the people that were lost here, if I can do it without fucking them up. So it's Charles Taylor, Lieutenant, U.S. Naval Reserve. George Devlin, Airman, Aviation Ordnanceman, 3rd Class, U.S. Navy Reserve. Walter Parpart, Aviation Radioman, 3rd Class, U.S. Navy Reserve. E.J. Powers, Captain, U.S. Marine Corps. Howell O. Thompson, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps. George Panosia,
Run, grab your rifle. We'll do a 21-gun salute.
Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps. Joseph T. Bossy, Ensign, U.S. Naval Reserve. Herman A. Lander, Seaman 1st Class, U.S. Naval Reserve. Bert Ballock, Jr., Seaman 1st Class, U.S. Naval Reserve. George Stithers, Captain, U.S. Marine Corps. Robert P. Grubel, Private, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. Robert F. Gallivan, Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps. Forrest J. Gerber, 2nd Lieutenant, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. William Lightfoot, Private 1st Class, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. Those were all the men who were flying the 5 planes that went missing in Flight 19 on, they call it BU number 59, or 59, 59225, which is actually Trainer 49. Walter Jeffrey, Lieutenant JG, U.S. Navy. Harry Cohn, Lieutenant JG, U.S. Navy. Roger Allen, Ensign, U.S. Navy. Lloyd Ellison, Ensign, U.S. Navy. Charles Arcana, Ensign, U.S. Navy. Robert C. Cameron, Radioman, 3rd Class, U.S. Navy. Wiley D. Cargill, Senior, Seaman, 1st Class, U.S. Navy. James Jordan, what was that, ARM? Aviation Radioman, 3rd Class, U.S. Navy. John Menendez, Aviation Ordnance, 3rd Class, U.S. Navy. I don't know what AMM is. Aviation Machinist Mate. Donald E. Peterson, Aviation Machinist Mate, 1st Class, U.S. Navy. And Alfred DeWicki, Seaman, 1st Class, U.S. Navy. Those were the men that were lost on Trainer 49.
27 brave souls.
So if this was pilot error,
I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it is. I think maybe his.
I mean, he didn't listen to anybody. Now I can't speculate. I don't want to badmouth this guy because he's probably way more of a fucking man than I'll ever be. But I mean, he was only 28. That's just 28 years old, and he's already has 2 tours in fucking World War II, and was a trainer with 2,500 plus hours. My asshole was still sucking buttermilk at 28 years old. Right? You know?
That's one of the weird things that's happened on YouTube.
And I know from hearing guys and just knowing some guys that these dudes have their shit together. They're not, just people do fuck up, but
right. Well, I think his instruments malfunction, whether that be a Bermuda Triangle thing or just poor maintenance or whatever.
Might have been the fact that he was hungover, maybe panicked. The weather was starting to turn.
But then
he's got people barking in his ear.
He made some mistakes.
Did you say steak?
I said mistake.
That's
a woman's steak. They're funner to eat. I think he made some mistakes, and 27 men perished.
Here's what I find interesting. His mother, Lieutenant Taylor's mother, actually launched her own investigation.
Did not hear this.
And they basically blamed him for the loss of 13 lives and 5 naval airplanes. And that's how it went down in the books. And she actually got his name exonerated, and it changed to reason for the crash was unknown. But before, they blamed it all on him. And she said that there's no evidence to prove that, because you can't find anything. So,
well, stuff like this happens that people want to affix blame. They want someone that they can look at and say, "Hey, this is your fault."
Well, yeah, case closed. We got the story, but I'd be a little pissed off too. I'd be like, like if it was you, I'm like, I knew Mike, and Mike wouldn't do that. He was a stand-up guy, and I would want somebody to fight for me too if they felt the same way. I mean, it's just hard to tell. It's so weird, but with the fact that you have him constantly wanting to go, I don't understand that. Like if he was at his third leg, he would just go like southwest, coming back to Fort Lauderdale from
if they were on
Bermuda.
If they were on their third leg, and he knows that he didn't turn east or west before, all you had to do is turn west. You might not make it back to Fort Lauderdale, but you're going to make it back to land.
Right. And that's what they couldn't figure out. Like, they're like, dude, just turn fucking west.
Well, that's what the one guy kept saying. I wish we would just turn west. We'd make it home.
Yeah. And he kept, I got to go northeast to avoid. And that's what I don't understand is why he said, or this is what they claimed, that he said he wants to go northeast to avoid going in the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, he felt that he was in the Keys.
I don't know where
the Florida Keys are below Florida. So let me bring it up. Let me put up Google Maps here.
So if he goes northeast, he would hit like the tip of Florida's dick.
Yes.
I see. So what are the Keys, to the west of Florida?
The Keys trail down below Florida.
Like southwest of Florida.
Florida.
Florida man. Florida man.
I think you just shot yourself. Come on. This is our internet. This is what I deal with.
Hang on. I'm going to go to a quick commercial break here. Brought to you by Rudders. And we're back.
Okay. So, and we're not.
I would like to know how.
These are the Keys.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? If he went northeast, that doesn't make sense. You'd still go out into the fucking ocean.
He was flying this way over the Keys. When he got to here, he thought where he felt he was here. He goes northeast. He's going to go right here.
Yeah, that's why we need to put this map up for our viewers.
I know these are the Keys down here, right there. So he felt he was flying over this.
I mean, that's nowhere.
And he said, "I want to go northeast. I don't want to go over the Gulf. I don't want to get lost out in the Gulf." So if he goes northeast, he's going to come back to here.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm thinking the Gulf is up and to the right.
No, this is the Gulf right here.
Yeah, I thought it was over here.
No, so here's...
I'm so stupid.
Where's Bimini? Are you sure it don't mean?
I no wonder it didn't make sense.
Where's Bahamas?
I'm in England.
Oh, these are the Bahamas right here.
Well, he's way off course.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no way he could have been down there. But these islands up here, go up through here, mimic those, just going in the opposite direction. But I guess when you're up in the air, it's hard to tell. So they took off from here. Mm-hmm. They flew down. Is this Bimini here?
No, it's Blimini.
That's Bimini.
Blimini.
So they flew from
bloomin' onion.
They flew from here over to Bimini, and then out this
bloomin' onion,
and out this way. So around here, some places where they drop their shit. Somewhere around here. So at that point, they were supposed to fly so many minutes this way, and then northwest.
Yeah,
and go over here. So instead of turning, keep hitting this freaking bump here. Instead of turning from here this way, they think he turned here and went this way.
And then thought he was way down in the Keys.
And thought he was down in the Keys. How, I don't know, because it's hundreds of miles. So, now if you take...
Unless, like you said...
Hold on, if you take where the Keys are there, he says he thinks he was here, so he's over the Keys. He flies west, like flying west, and then he gets to the point where he says, I don't want to end up in the Gulf, so I'm going to fly towards Florida's tip. And then, so he ended up out here someplace, where he thought he was here and ended up here.
That makes sense.
And the map that video that I watched showed was the one that made the most sense.
Holy shit! So he's like in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
And then he eventually decided to turn west again, didn't he?
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah. That's his last radio transmission. He says,
we're going to turn west.
We're going to continue to fly 270 degrees west until we hit landfall or run out of gas.
Right, but now, if he's up here and his compass ain't working right, and he says 207 degrees, he's not going to end up west. He's going to end up going northwest.
Right. Well, what he thought was west.
Right. So, this Banana River thing is down here someplace. So they took off from here. One went straight out this way, looking for him. The other one went up the coast and out this way. So that's where Trainer 49 would have went up the coast to like Boca Raton and then out towards...
Where old folks go to die.
Yeah. And then go out towards the Bahamas, the Grand Bahama Island. The problem is they were like here, and he was flying away from them, and that's why they were losing radio contact, because he was progressively getting away from them.
Mm-hmm. I think we've solved this case. Let's go rent a boat and find this.
Well, there's a guy, another video I watched, a guy that goes out in a boat and he's charting the sea floor in all these areas for the last 30 years, looking for these crashes.
And he went missing too.
No. He goes out, I don't know how often, but he uses side scan sonar.
Yeah.
Looking for the crash sites.
Now, when you asked me earlier, do I believe it was pilot error or the Bermuda Triangle? And I said both, because there's many, many more stories of weird shit that happens in the Bermuda Triangle. And what was the very first incident?
Where's Puerto Rico?
It's past Cuba, down to the right. Up, keep going right at the end there.
So from here to here,
to Bermuda and back.
To Bermuda and back.
It's over.
That's the Bermuda Triangle.
2 million square miles.
Yeah.
It's like the size of like half the United States, pretty much.
Yes.
Oh, god damn. But was he in the Bermuda Triangle when he crashed?
If he would, yeah, he would have been like up here. He would have been on the edge of it. But his problems started right here. Like his problems started right here, off of Fort Lauderdale, underneath the Bahamas.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I think there may be some magnetic anomaly in this area that causes instruments to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
And in an older plane like that, with no other instruments besides a compass and a clock, or compass and a watch, that's death.
Wow. You know, I wish I would have written down with that first. It was the USS Cyclops or some shit, or the sea vessel Cyclops was like the first reported ship that went down mysteriously in the Bermuda Triangle.
1942. Oh, that one. I did see this one. Look at how that ship is built.
Looks like an old Civil War ship. It actually kind of looks like a what do they call those paddle boats?
The riverboat.
Riverboat.
Yes,
Am I right? Is that the first one that went down?
No.
I think it was earlier than that. I think it was in the 1800s.
Although I saw a documentary on this ship, and it's lost too. That would be an interesting topic. I don't think there's enough for the whole show, but
you know, my other thought was I wanted to do that ship that was sunk.
The Titanic.
No, it was sunk somewhere out in the Atlantic Ocean, and I think like 15 sailors perished, but they were able to shut the ballast doors or and seal half the ship off, and there was like 15 or 20 other sailors at the bottom of the ocean on the ship, lost power for like 6 or 7 days, and they sent a thing down there.
Diving bell.
Well, yeah, but they attached two fucking hooks onto this thing and tried to like put floaties on it and lift it back up to the surface, and it went cattywampus, and it fucking boom fell back down to the ocean floor. So then they were able to basically ballast it and get it about halfway up, and then drag it into port. And they saved every sailor right there. They put them up on a tube and like this. I don't know what the fuck they call it. And I think we watched the show. It was after we watched Greyhound. So they saved all the sailors that were still alive in the ship.
Right.
Brought it up halfway and then brought it back into dock.
I think I fell asleep.
And they cleaned it up, repainted it, and put it back into service for like another 10 years.
There was another one where some guy was at the bottom of this ship for a ship sank. He was under the.
Was there video of this? It's that one lone guy.
Yeah, I don't think there's video of it. There's a video made of it, but that was interesting.
Fuck that. That would be so fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, I think we did that justice. I know our notes were mine were a little different than yours, so I had to kind of.
Well, I focused on that training flight.
I don't know how the fuck you remember all these numbers and fucking.
I read them.
The letters.
Well, the designation on the plane that interested me greatly. Like I'm like, well, what's the difference between the
PBM and PBF?
The TBF and TBM. Like, what was it? What makes one an F and one an M? And like, some guy came up and he came up with some off the wall shit, and some guy says, "No, you're not even close." and he posted that whole thing with the designations on them, which I find very interesting. Like looking through those designations, like a plane that has an A is an ambulance, a B, of course, is a bomber, BT is bomber torpedo, F fighter, G is single engine transport, H is hospital, J utility, JR utility transport, N is a trainer, O observation, OS observation scout, P patrol, PB patrol bomber, R transport, S scout, SB scout bomber, SN scout trainer, SO scout observation, TB torpedo bomber,
tuberculosis,
TS torpedo scout, and then all these different designations for the manufacturers. And then there was suffixes for catch-alls for special equipment, and like there's just a huge list of them. And if there's a number in it, like it's this SNJ 6B, it's the 6th version of the original model. Right, like the F4, F3 fighter, 4th fighter produced by this manufacturer. F is Grumman, and 3 was revised version of the initial F4F. So the F4F had 3 different versions. This is the 3rd one.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I found that really interesting. And like that's why I like when like you come up with some topics like I'm like, and like Lexi came up with the X-Men, and we did the X-Men, and I was like, I don't know about like because the X-Men was really not my jam. But
yeah, you guys.
I love comic books, so when I got into it, there was a lot of interesting stuff there. So
they knew nothing about X-Men.
I saw your eyes glaze over a couple times.
And I knew I was like, it's pointless researching this because I would need like 6 years of my life to know anything about this.
But you could have just watched, like, I went on YouTube, watched a couple of videos, and that's where, like, I get my inspiration from my questions that I ask myself.
Am I gay? Yes. Am I going to continue to be gay? Yes.
You're talking about a magic 8-ball. Chances look good. So... But we both got to get up tomorrow and go to work for snow.
No, don't fucking mind.
No, I'll be there. I'll be there with lunch and breakfast for you.
I'll be there with my fucking shiny shoes on. Oh, God, this getting old sucks. Always tired.
Your shiny untied shoes because you don't want to bend over to tie them?
No, I got slip-ons.
Nice. You wear slippers to work on Saturdays and Sundays?
I wish.
So with that, I think we've exhausted this episode, and hope you learned something. If we missed something or screwed something up, you can email us at takeontheworld411@gmail.com.
Yep. And join us on our next episode where we'll be taking this to the Florida Keys to look for Flight 19. We have a 30-foot yacht, beers, babes, you name it, we got it. So if anybody wants to join in, you're more than welcome.
It's a party boat. So until then, we'll take on the world. Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.